Well,
Hello.
welcome to our show, everybody. Sarita, I want you to take it away today. But I'm really excited for today's show. Sarita, take us away.
All right. Well, today we have a really interesting guest. Our guest is Brandi Lowery. She is a Texas attorney who is out of Houston, and she is known to all as the old fashioned barrister.
And you said it right.
I know it.
Kudos.
Because you
Kudos.
know,
What they
I went
calling you a
out there.
barista?
I was
Yes.
gonna say
No,
barista.
Yes. Yes.
no.
I
Yes.
did my
Yes.
social media homework and looked at one of your IG posts, and I was like, and I was listening, like, how does she pronounce it? And Barrister, yes. So I am. First
You
thing I got
said
right tonight. Absolutely. But before we get into that, I actually went a little ahead of myself. I'm so excited about Brandi being here. I forgot to introduce our host. So as always, I am going to be leading us tonight, but I am still here with Sonia and Cassandra, the WOCA Style founder, and of course me, Sharita. So, Brandi, welcome. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule. You are all over. You're doing it and making big moves and doing big things, and we are so proud of you.
Well,
Welcome.
thank you for having me. I'm really excited. So I'm a fan of Sharita. You know, I heart you, love you. You was down here for my birthday when the
I
book
was.
first came out. So,
You know I will come for a party, right?
yeah.
Yeah, she had an amazing birthday party, a nice rooftop party, and it was fantabulous. She had the book signing and all of that. So we had a great time. So I knew she would be great for the show today. Definitely. And along with being the old fashioned barrister, I heard you're also a certified as a bourbon steward. Is that
I'm
right?
actually executive bourbon steward. So I
Oh,
graduated from certified to executive. So
okay.
I started out as certified and then just wanted to get more knowledge and went to Louisville. I actually did the class in Louisville, Kentucky at Moonshine University to get my executive bourbon steward. So yeah.
Well, what a little coincidence. I'm from Louisville, Kentucky.
Yes, that's like my second home now.
I know. I saw you were there. That's awesome. Well, that's no better place to be for bourbon than Louisville, right?
Right,
The
right.
hometown of all the
So
whiskeys and all of that.
there's a Moonshine University.
Mhm, that's a thing.
I didn't
And
know that.
and so I also attend Whiskey University out of Columbia, Tennessee, because I got my bachelor's degree from there. Actually in June or July of this year.
Oh, wow. Well, double congratulations.
Oh,
That's
yes,
amazing. You've been
congratulations.
busy. You've been
I
busy.
have. I'm trying to educate these people on, whiskey.
Yes, 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 definitely. Well,
So
hey,
Brandy, you're also an attorney, right?
I am a practicing attorney. Yes. Mhm.
Okay, that's really impressive.
Thank
it
you.
really,
That
it
you're
really,
doing both
really.
of these things simultaneously.
Yes.
How do you find the time to kind of balance both of these? Because I feel like you're developing a brand around this bourbon thing. Am I right? Or is
I
it something
am.
you're just doing for a
Oh no.
hobby?
I mean, it was a passion that's turning, we're gonna try to turn it into a paycheck because there's more than just what I have now. Like I am expanding. So I do practice law. I work for a nonprofit law firm here in Houston, Texas, but I want to put out there I'm originally from Dallas, Texas. I still rep my Dallas, Texas roots. Go Rangers.
All
Uh,
right.
but
Yes.
but oh, and go Cowboys too, because I'm still a Dallas Cowboys fan. But I still practice Monday through Friday, 7 to 3. So right now we're still currently working from home since COVID. So I still work my hours, but I think COVID helped me learn how to manage the business. Now it's
Mhm.
rumored that we're going back in the middle of January. So then now they'd be like, well, honestly, my daytime is I'm a lawyer and at night I work on my business. Like they say, for the entrepreneurial life, you got to put in the hours like you do your real job. And so
Yes.
Yes.
even on the weekends, I put in my hours for my business on the weekends. So I do miss
Awesome.
sleep at times, but like that's my
So
goal.
tell us what whiskey university, like what courses do you take at Whiskey University? Like, is it like you have to have 32 hours to get your degree? How does that? What does that look like?
So Whiskey University is similar. It's somewhat new, but it's called the trainer to trainer class, and they teach you how to do whiskey tastings. But you start out with the basics. So even if you're a whiskey enthusiast and whiskey connoisseur, whiskey lover, or just want to know the basics, anybody can attend. But you start out with learning like what is whiskey, what's the difference between, all bourbon is whiskey, but not all whiskey is bourbon. So you take those one-on-one classes.
Wait, all whiskey is bourbon, but not all bourbon is whiskey.
Right.
Okay.
Well, I'm gonna break it down. So whiskey has to be made with grains, which is like, your malt barley, your corn, your rye, things like that. And it's made in America. So, you have your American whiskey. That's just, I'm skimming the basics. Bourbon has to be made with 51% corn. So not all whiskey is bourbon, because not all whiskey is made with
51%.
corn. Right.
Got it.
So bourbon has to be 51% corn to be called bourbon. And it doesn't have an age requirement. Like people say, oh my gosh, you got to be aged for 8-9 years. No, you just got to put it in a new oak charred barrel and you can take it right back out. And it's bourbon. Another myth, and this is for Sharita, it doesn't, just because it's not made in Kentucky.
Thank you. Thank you.
It can still be bourbon, because like we have which is blowing up is Texas whiskey, Texas bourbon. So we're starting to be like I say the number 3 state, because you got Kentucky, Tennessee, and Texas. We're not that far behind.
Wow. Awesome. Okay. Are we getting feedback? Is it just me? Can I hear that?
I can hear feedback. I don't know if it's me.
Definitely no.
Just a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, Brandi, I know that my husband likes brandies and bourbons and bourbons and whiskeys.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it feels like it's just a man thing, because when his friends come over or they hang out, that's what they drink, and I drink the wines and
I still love a good wine.
The margaritas. So have you noticed that more women are getting into drinking that? Or
Absolutely.
I mean, I feel like it's just so strong. It just feels like it's a manly, because it's, it's warm. It's,
it's like, gives you a hug, kind of put hair on your chest.
Yeah, I don't want that.
Yeah. See, but it also depends on what type of whiskey or bourbon you're drinking, because there are some that I'd be like, ooh, that put up. But I also have like some higher proofs. Like I have one that's 132 proof of whiskey, and it's smooth.
I'm gonna say it's smoother.
Yeah, it's smooth.
What does 132 proof mean? I mean, what is proof?
So proof is the alcohol. Well, in better term, like the alcohol content. So it's 132 proof. Is like that's the highest proof that it is for that bottle. Wow. And if it's like 90 proof, that's I mean, it's probably not as strong as 132 proof, and there's some really good 90 proof out there too, and 80 proof. So.
Well, 132 is a lot of alcohol.
It's a lot.
It's a lot of hair on your
Definitely.
chest.
Oh yes, hair on your chest. Brandi, did you go ahead? Go ahead, Sonia.
No, go ahead. You go ahead.
No, I'm just gonna ask, did you always like bourbon, or is this an acquired taste?
Oh no. I was like vodka and tequila, and that was me. Yeah. But I got into bourbons, and since y'all just came back from New Orleans, funny story. That's how I found out about really my favorite drink, which is an old fashioned, was being in New Orleans, and that was my first one. It was like 2017. So I was with my friends from college, and one of them was like, you need you a drink because you're a lawyer. And you need you a good drink to look, be sophisticated around your lawyer friends. Like you can't.
Oh yes, honey, yes.
Cranberry, and still being a lawyer, just like bourbons and whiskeys, even though we're slowly getting away from it, it's still a male-dominated, industry. Yeah. So I was like, okay. So the bartender in New Orleans, he did the whole, I would call it the parlor trick, but I thought it was a parlor trick at the time. He made the old fashioned, lit the orange peel on fire, rimmed it on the glass, and put it in there. And I was like, ooh, because New Orleans is all about flash and popping and tricks. So I thought this was a New Orleans drink. I'm like, I'm never gonna find this anywhere. But yeah, I had no clue, about the old fact. I thought it was a New Orleans thing, but then when I came home to Houston, start, hearing people drink about it, or I was like, let me try it. Like I would go somewhere. And I was like, do you have an old fashioned? And they was like, yeah. I'm sitting up here like, this is a new drink. Old fashioned been around since the 1800s, which
long time.
Louisville,
Kentucky. That's hilarious.
It's funny that you said that people say that, you get that drink and, you're sophisticated. And I think that there is historically, there's truth to that because, Gentlemen's Club would sell old fashions to all the men looking at the strippers or whatever they used to do back in the day. And so if you were drinking an old fashioned, then you were somebody, you were high class, and so I think that kind of still exists today when you're looking at those, because they serve them now in like the smoke when they pull up the thing and it smokes. I don't know. What is that called?
The smoked old fashioned.
Honey.
I have the smoke box, the smoke. I have all that.
The presentation is just worth it to me. I don't necessarily even have to drink it. I just love the presentation.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Wow.
There's a scene that I thought of when you were saying, you're an attorney and you should have this high powered drink. I don't know if anybody remember Black people, because we have certain iconic movies that we relate to. If you relate to the scene in, I think it was Waiting to Exhale, where she is going through her divorce hearing, and she comes out and she goes to the hotel lobby, and she goes up to the bar, and she orders. I don't know if did she order an old fashioned or was it straight up whiskey?
I think it was whiskey neat. I think she ordered
whiskey neat. And when he walked in and saw her, he was like, "Look at you." Like you have walked into these people's bar all by your lonesome, pulls up, because that's a power thing just to be a woman and go to a bar by yourself. But you're not sitting up there ordering a Shirley Temple. To order a whiskey neat or an old fashioned, it actually does say something. It gives what it's supposed to be given. I think when you order that, you are trying to give something.
And I tell any woman too, if you want a man to talk to you, go to the bar and order that, because the conversations that
it's a conversation starter.
It is definitely a conversation piece, because I've had men say, "Oh, well, have you had it with this bourbon, or have you had it with this whiskey?" And then they want to test y'all. First of all, men just like to think they know everything anyway.
Exactly. And then you drop that little knowledge on them. I'm an executive,
right?
Let me just say this, Brandi, Lord have mercy, you have hit on something that we didn't even think about when we were going to have this conversation. Because women, if this isn't the icebreaker you need in your life, if you're single and you're trying to go to a bar and you're trying to see what's out there, I mean, this is the perfect icebreaker.
Yep.
And then with the old fashioned, going back, Cassandra, what you were saying, with whiskey, they can put hair on your chest, but the old fashioned, you can make it sweet because it's only 3 ingredients. And it's it's only 3.
What is it? What is that? Look, what is that? We're writing it down.
Right. So you got your Angostura bitters.
Okay.
You have your simple syrup, and you get this at Kroger's, Walmart, whatever. And then I have the Elijah Craig here, and then Elijah Craig, or a bourbon or a whiskey. That's it. Put it in, because you're going to get your rock glass. Put it all in here with your rock ice. Stir it. And that's it. And
Elijah Craig?
Yeah, so this is I brought this from downstairs because I got an extensive bourbon collection downstairs. But I just pulled this one real quick. And this is also you can get this bottle for probably about $25 too.
Yeah. I've seen them. Yeah.
This is one of
It
my
looked like
favorites.
Angel's Envy at first, but I like that too. My
Oh, I
sister
love
sent
Angels
it to me.
Envy.
Yeah.
That
Yeah,
that
yeah.
Caribbean rum cast. That's one of my
Yes.
favorites.
It's
Yeah,
very nice.
yeah.
I always wondered what those bitters were. Is it sweet or is it bitter?
Oh, it is bitter.
Oh, it is.
And I have
Okay.
the various different flavors, and they all bitter. I mean, it
Oh.
gives it that right amount of certain flavor. Like I have some chocolate bitters. It has that hint of chocolate. I got black walnut, mint, cranberry. So it enhances the flavor. But if you
And
put
that's
it
what
on
you
your
use.
finger, go ahead.
That's what you use, and when you're making the bourbons.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
When I'm making my old fashions.
oh.
So what's your favorite bourbon?
My favorite bar is Woodford Reserve, Evan Williams, and then Elijah Craig.
Wow. Okay.
Actually, Evan Williams Bottled in Bond is my favorite after Evan Williams group.
Mm.
And so do you think that the more expensive bourbons are the better bourbons, or does it even matter?
I say no, it doesn't. To answer your question, no and no. No, it doesn't matter. And no, just because it's more expensive mean it tastes better. Because you have some people that buy Pappy, and Pappy Van Winkle's like a $1,500 to a $2,000 bottle, and it's been aged for like 20 some years, and you can't find it anywhere because it's only released. And people will break their neck and kill their firstborn child to get it. And you can be like, but I just bought this Evan Williams for $19.99 at Total Wine, and it tastes better.
Kind of like champagne. People who like champagne, for me, more expensive is not really the best tasting. So
Yeah,
kind of
that's true.
same concept. Yeah, for sure.
It's like, and I don't like impressing friends like that because my money.
Especially if they don't like it. You're right.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my gosh, that is hilarious.
So for people who haven't really tried bourbon, how would you describe the taste of bourbon? Because I don't drink it. I just watch my husband drink it, and he looks like he's suffering sometimes.
Well, let me ask you this: what is he? Do you see what bottle he pulls out? I'm just like when he drinks it.
No. He has like there's this one bottle that was in a wooden box.
Probably Booker's, maybe.
I don't know what it was.
Oh, because I was like, I have Booker's. That's one of those allocated bottles, meaning it's hard to find. But so I would recommend one, whiskey and bourbon is like, it's better with friends. So it's made to drink with friends per se, even though you can drink by yourself, which is not a problem. But, it's a good, like as we said, conversation piece. But again, whiskey is not for everybody or bourbon is not for everybody. I like mine. And when I say sweet, I don't mean flavored whiskey because I don't like really sweet drinks. Like, I like my margaritas the way they're supposed to be made, like, tequila and lime juice, kind of like that. So I say that to say when I mean sweet bourbon, the flavor profile may have a little bit of like, I could taste the vanilla or maybe some butterscotch or some caramel versus another bourbon I could just taste straight grains. Like I can taste all of the corn. And that to me will leave hair on my chest and burn going down. So I like those. Like one of my other favorite ones is Penelope Rosé because that bourbon has been aged in a rosé wine barrel. So, and I love a good rosé. Like that is my favorite, and I love a good red wine. So,
does it taste wine, like a little like wine, or is it?
I can taste the fruit notes of the rosé. Like I can taste it. Now I'm not saying it's fruity, but
you get that hint.
Yeah, I can taste that aromatic of the fruits from the rosé.
Would that be considered a girly bourbon?
Would that be considered a girly bourbon?
Like if there were even such a thing,
that would be a girly bourbon. Because I did a whiskey fest here in Houston and worked for Penelope Bourbon, and they had that, and they had a couple of their other ones, like their manly ones. And women who did not drink, I asked them, I said, well, what do you like to drink? And they said, well, margaritas and this and that. I was like, try this Penelope Rosé. And they loved it compared to the other ones. So
that was a question we had. If you were doing something or a woman wanted to start, let's just say we're trying to acclimate to, moving up, which one would you suggest we start out with as a woman?
Maker's Mark.
Maker's Mark.
Yeah, Maker's Mark.
Oh, yeah. My husband drinks that. That's
Yeah.
the one.
Ah,
Maker's Mark.
is
Because
it
it's
sweet?
sweeter. It's on the
Is it
sweeter
sweeter?
side. Yeah. There you go. Maker's Mark.
Everybody's got some Maker's Mark. I
Yeah.
got some in there too, and I didn't even realize it. Wow.
So and also, Cassandra, you know, Rich is a huge Uncle Nearest fan.
Oh yeah.
My husband's a big whiskey drinker. Now, what is the difference between Scotch and whiskey and
How it's made.
how it's made?
That's how it's
Mhm.
made. So same as bourbon and whiskey, just the way it's made.
Right, but Scotch is from Scotland, of course. You know, it's
Right.
Scotland, and they have their way of making it. It has a
Because
little
he
bit
loves
more
some
of the-
Jameson, and well, that's I guess
That's
Irish.
Yeah,
Irish
that's Irish
whiskey.
whiskey. But Scotch also has like that smoke, and it's weeded. It's more weeded and have that smoky flavor to it, like the and not smoke like, you know, when you smoke a cocktail or old fashioned, but more of like the mesquite burning type smoke. I don't like Scotch actually. Like I am
Really?
not a Scotch fan.
But Jameson's is really smooth.
That's an Irish whiskey. I don't like I'm not a fan of Irish whiskey either. Because I
Really?
really don't like Jameson, and I tried.
And he drinks Black Barrel Jameson.
See, I haven't had that one, so I would probably like that one more.
Yeah.
Well, Cassandra, you know, we use it when we make our green tea shots.
Yeah, now they're good for that.
Yeah, it makes
They're
it very
strong.
smooth.
They're
Yeah.
strong though.
So,
Yeah.
so I'm curious to know. So you're a bourbon steward.
Mhm.
Now, compare a bourbon steward to what we would all know as a sommelier.
It'll be like the
Which
same.
I know one, by the way, who does that.
I
for a living.
know a
But
few of them. So now they probably wouldn't say we're the same because they definitely had more extensive knowledge. Because mine was a 1-day class and had to take a test.
Oh,
But
they have to
I
do
had
it for a long time.
Yeah, and you know, and we went through the distillation process of like how whiskey and bourbon is made. You know, like we went through beginning to middle to end type thing. So we learned also about the distillation. But I tell people, you know, I'm definitely not trying to be on. I mean, I'm not them because they went through a whole expensive, long process. But
Yeah.
to make it easier, it would be like that. Now they would probably come for me and be like, "How dare you?" But
We
How
won't
do you?
allow that.
But so career wise, so we know sommeliers they may be responsible for purchasing the wine for restaurants or clubs or different venues. So how does a shop steward what is a day in the life of a shop steward if you're actually doing your job as a shop steward?
see, I don't do that. Like my thing is differently. So there's an exec because a lot of the bartenders and stuff are not executive bourbon stewards. So when you go to the like bartenders, and no shade to bartenders, but some of them bartenders I can make a better drink than them. And I've told them I have been in bars and was like, make my old fashioned over because this is trash. But and that's really not necessarily being an executive bourbon. I think it's just I educated myself more. But like and they're like a lot of brand ambassadors for the whiskey and bourbon companies, you know, like for Milam and Green, they're probably not executive bourbon stewards, but they learned the process. And so, you know, they learn like they probably work next to the master distiller. So like the master distiller is your people that's like actually making the bourbon and tasting the bourbon and, you know, barreling it properly and, you know, testing it. Those are your big time people. Us executive bourbon stewards, we over here, and I mean some of them are, but we're more like, oh, I'm learning it, and then I'm gonna like do a private whiskey tasting, or I'm knowledgeable when I'm out in the field, or you know, if I do work for a whiskey or a bourbon company, it will probably more like on the brand ambassador side, meaning I can push your product and I can tell you the flavor profiles of the of the whiskey.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Got it. So that makes a lot of sense. So like if you have a wine tasting at your home, you have a sommelier, he comes, he brings a couple of them, and then he explains that if you did the same thing,
Yeah.
be it at an event, at a home, that's what you would do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I read somewhere that you're an edutaster.
Mhm.
What is that?
Edutaster.
I saw somebody else. My name keep like blocking my. Okay, here we go. I was like, my name keep blocking my mouth on here. So I actually saw somebody post that on Instagram. I thought that was cool. They call themselves a whiskey edutaster, and I was like, that's dope.
Yeah.
Because you're educating somebody on the product and you're tasting at the same time. So I just thought that was cool.
It is cool.
It's got a ring.
Yeah.
Edutaster.
Pretty cool.
Because I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't want to say, oh, I do whiskey, not just whiskey tastings. Like, I need to draw you in. So they was like, oh, she's an edutaster. What does that mean?
Yes, absolutely.
And it sound a little bit more official or, unique. So yeah, I took that off.
Definitely unique.
Yeah. So what is your plans for this? I mean, we know that you have this amazing book, which we're going to have you share with us in a second, but what would you, yes, definitely. But do you have an end goal? Do you have what is your end goal?
To have my own bourbon.
Okay.
Well, there you go.
Yep, that is my ultimate goal. So I'm doing everything for that. Like that
there's so many celebrities out here putting their names. Like Issa Rae just came out with her prosecco, which I love.
Oh,
but,
I need to get that.
I know. I want to at least try just to support her. But there's also the people who do the tequilas and the people who do. Then you got Diddy who does all the Ciroc. So that's very unique and different. Good for you.
That is my ultimate goal, is to have my own.
What's it going to be called?
I don't know yet. I've been playing around with names forever. Like, not ever, like, forget. I don't know. Because I thought about, like, if I do it, because everything I'm doing is kind of like on a timeline. And I'm like, okay, well, if I try to release it in 20, like, what, 50? I think that's right. Well, whenever I be 50. Probably not 2050, but whenever I be 50, and then I was like, oh, I'll call it the 50. And then I'm like, but I may not release it then. And then I was like, well, I don't know. Because I was like, I may release it in 3 years. And then I'll be like, well, I'll just be, 46. And that ain't gonna work. So,
you need to have a contest.
Somebody.
Yeah. You need to have a contest with all of your followers once you get to the point where you're feeling like it, and have a contest and see, because it may not even be a name you pick, but it may be something that gives you like, oh, that's close to what I was thinking.
And it's funny you say that, because I didn't name my book. One of my really, really good friends and a former podcast host, she's a lawyer too. She's great with those things. And I was like, hey, this is my book. Give me some ideas. And she did. And I settled on this one. She said, I tweaked it just a little bit, because she swears for God. She was like, I didn't name your book. I was like, yes, you did. You kind of did. Like, you started one. I said, I just took one word out that you put in, but you pretty much named the book.
It's good to have good friends, right?
So I'm with you. I probably will do that. Like, when the bourbon is aging and stuff, may do a contest and be like, oh, and whoever name I pick, I'll send you a free bottle.
There you go.
There you go. Absolutely. That's a nice little segue, Cassandra. So tell us about the book. What was the inspiration? Where did the whole, I mean, because you've done the schooling, you've learned the jargon, all the information, and what made you, want to create a book?
So I just been out, well, I was in a relationship at the time, and we're still really good friends, but my boyfriend at the time, I actually got him onto whiskeys and bourbons and old fashions, because he was the Malibu pineapple guy. But we would go out, get old fashions, and we would play around with I would play around with the different flavors, because I was like, ooh, they got a vanilla old fashioned. So I would try the different ones. Or I would see, be at brunch and see bartenders would have like a plum old fashioned, like a plum bitters or whatever, different bitters. And so I was like, we came back to my house. I was like, what do you think if I write a book, like a cocktail book? Like, I think that's dope. And he was like, I think that's a great idea. And so here we are.
That's, I admire that, because listen, I feel like there's a book inside of me. I've always wanted to write a book. I've actually written several that are sitting in my nightstand, but never had the guts to go ahead and just publish it.
This
So
is your
I
call.
I can say that I'm proud to know an author, a published author. And that's inspiring. Might have to join you one day, but that's really good. So tell us what your book is about. Like what can we expect when we read your book?
So this is my first one. I'm actually working on my second one too. So stay tuned for that one.
Yeah.
But it's called the
Nice.
Barrister's Book of Old Fashions and Other Cocktails. And it's literally a book of various different old fashions. It starts with the classic old fashioned, and then it moves on to the smoked old fashioned. And then I teach, and basically I am teaching you how to make an old fashioned. And then I go into the different flavors. About a couple of weeks ago, I was on Houston Live TV here in Houston, and I was making them a pumpkin spice old fashioned, which is in my book, and a maple syrup old fashioned, because this is the, we're in the,
Holidays.
yeah, the holidays, spooky season, October, fall. So I've created some old fashions for the holidays. I have a Christmas is coming up, so I have an eggnog old fashioned, peppermint, and cranberry old fashioned.
Ooh.
But
You
there's
know, I didn't even know all that existed. I'm just like
See?
so behind the times. I had no idea.
some of them, most of them I created myself. There's like over 40 something recipes. I also have some bourbon based, like the Zazarak, the Boulevarde, the Manhattans in there too. I have a mimosa, like a bourbon mimosa, bourbon
Oh,
margarita.
oh,
So I do have those, but yeah, I'm like literally teaching you how to make it. But the reason why they're out there, because so the reason why I got that idea of the different flavors is because a lot of the restaurants were getting creative too with them. And I was like, this is just fun. Like, I would just be in the kitchen and just be like, oh, I wonder how this will taste. So I wonder what that would taste like if I use this bitters. And I literally went to Total Wine and bought like 10 different bitters
Oh,
flavors.
wow.
we need
And
to come to your house and be a tester for all of your
I am looking
recipes.
for taste testers.
We will definitely be the best tasters you've ever had.
The best. Absolutely. That sounds like a lot of fun, though. It's almost like you say, recipes. It's almost like cooking. So you're cooking these amazing drinks, these amazing bourbon drinks, and of course, I've never even thought about. I love the coolness of watching the smoke when they're
Mhm.
being made. And I tried one time, and it was like, no, ma'am, give me my wine back. But I'm sure it's something. So the ones you're talking about for Christmas and the holidays, those sound like they might be a little bit more up my alley.
But I tell people what my book, because I'm not a mixologist and I'm not a bartender and I'm not trying to be. So when you get the book, when you use the book, use it to you. Like, I'm giving you a guide. Make it
Yeah,
your
it
own.
sounds like there are no rules. Like you
Right.
make your own rules.
Exactly. And so that's just what it's for, because we're so pigeonholed into believing that we don't really know how to make drinks because we're not a bartender or mixologist. Well, no, like, especially now, the holidays are coming. Family like to drink, and some of them you might need to put a drink in their hand. So use my book for that.
Yeah.
So do you
Yeah.
have a lot of pictures to show what it's supposed to look like in
I
your book?
do. I do.
Because we love some pictures, so we definitely want to see the pictures.
A lot of illustrations. Yeah.
So here's a peppermint one. This is the peppermint. I don't know if y'all can see
Oh,
that.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
then on the other side is like the recipe for it.
Okay.
So they're side by side.
I think the variations of the old fashioned is actually a great idea. It's a great way to get people interested in drinking something that would otherwise intimidate them. Like and then back to the waiting to exhale. The audacity of it all.
Right.
To just go up there, it seems like almost intimidating to go, even if you were just trying to fake it. Can I have an old fashioned or whatever? But I mean, like, you'd be sitting there, like you literally be sitting there drinking it forever, because it probably is like something that's strong, something that you're not used to. But when you're like introducing these new things to your palate, to have a flavor, whether it be pumpkin for the holidays, or peppermint for Christmas, like, these things make it a little bit more palatable. So I think it's a great idea. I think it's a great way to introduce the old fashioned, which is traditionally a male drink to women. And I think women should definitely up their drinking game. I mean, I really am like such a fan of women, like almost like with food too. Like break out of your box. Stop ordering the same thing over and over whenever you go to a restaurant. Like try something different. And also I think it's great because if you like to drink as much as, I'm just going to talk about myself here, I'm not going to say us. If you like to drink as much as I do, like literally, okay, I'm gonna just tell y'all. Last night I came home. I had a lot coming back from New Orleans. It was a lot. I drank a whole bottle of wine, and and it was nothing because it's nothing. It's nothing. So, but I enjoyed all of those 4 glasses of that wine. But if the goal is to just kind of take the edge off or whatever, I've just consumed, 475 calories. But if you drink something like a bourbon or a scotch or whiskey, or just a drink that has maybe not 130 proof, maybe you don't want to do that. But but I'm gonna tell you, one is gonna do the trick.
Yeah.
So it is something that because it's a bold and you would have the right terminologies for this, but because it's a bold taste, you're gonna sip it really slow. You're not going to really need another one. So I think it's a great crossover if you want to slow the pace down.
You got the clients I got. You're going to need like 2 or 3. Just saying.
That's a good point. And I wonder, I didn't even think about this. What's the calorie content of a typical old fashioned?
I have no clue.
I think it's more than wine. But you're only going to need one.
Yeah, because the thing about the old fashioned is it's a cocktail, so it's syrup, which is sweet. So simple syrup. All it is sugar water, like literally. Yeah. So I feel like that over time, some of this weight on me has came from drinking old fashions.
Oh wow!
Yeah, I'm gonna be practicing mine neat. Because and then it's like even tequilas, like okay, you can have the margarita with the syrup, or you can just put that on the rocks and start sipping the tequila.
Right.
And eventually you'll love it, because let me tell you, sipping the tequila is going to get you where you want to be a whole lot faster than drinking that margarita. I know the margarita is fun.
That's true. That's why I say, look, that bourbon gonna get me faster than that old fashioned. So
yes.
Sometimes I am the old fashioned barrister, but sometimes I'll be like, look, forget the bitters and the simple syrup. These clients that got on my nerves. Let me.
That is good. Hey, I've learned a lot today. I had no idea, none whatsoever. Definitely. Sonia, you found some pretty cool. I took a look at your.
No, mine were jokes.
They were actually very, very interesting.
Mine were jokes, and I'm like, dare I read the one that says the old fashioned?
I know.
Okay. First, I'm gonna do the margarita. So this is what it's meant to be funny because but this isn't even the funniest one I found. But so this is an article that says what bartenders think about the drinks that you order. So when you go to the bar and they're like, okay, this says a lot about you, the kind of drink you order. And so, for instance, we all love a good margarita, and it says bartenders think that when somebody orders a margarita, that it's old ladies who want to party usually start with a margarita.
What?
Okay, because that's my drink, and I am offended.
And it says that people that order vodka martinis are fancy drunks.
That's my second drink.
Like, okay, you want a Jack and Coke? okay, you'll be fighting later. You're gonna
Yes,
be
yes.
yeah.
And I do not like
and
Jack
then it's
Coke.
like, oh my God, I thought Long Island iced teas were funny because Long Island iced tea gets a bad rep, and I think it's well deserved, by the way. But they say Long Island iced teas rarely tip people that because it's got every alcohol in there.
Yeah.
But they're always asking, and can you make it strong? They're like, well, how can I make it strong? It has every alcohol in there. How do you?
Exactly.
Oh my God!
That's
But
funny.
let me tell you what it says about the old fashioned. She said, oh, here's the old fashioned. Old fashioned drinkers. Okay, they're actually there are two different opinions about the old fashioned. Old fashioned drinkers rarely know jack shit about cocktails, but it's a cheap way to pretend that you do.
Old fashions are not cheap, by the way. They are not
And then it
cheap.
says it's either someone who knows, it's either the second opinion from another bartender says, these are from bartenders that said, it's either someone who knows their booze really well or not at all. And they want to look sophisticated. I think that probably there's there's a little truth in jest. That one to me seems more accurate, right? Because the old fashioned definitely is that drink that has a sophistication assigned to it. So you're either that person who is sophisticated or that person who's trying to pretend to be sophisticated.
Is where they get you at, and I can see where you pretend to be, because like if it's not on the menu, or if it's on the menu with old fashioned, because usually if you see old fashioned, they'll say, like Angel's Envy or Buffalo Trace old fashioned or something like that. But if you just see old fashioned, then they'll say, well, what's your bourbon or whiskey of choice?
Mm-hmm.
And so then that's where it's testing your knowledge, because then they'll be like, yeah,
that's when you're like,
I don't know.
Wait a minute,
brown.
No, look, and then
or the house.
And we're the person they go, what's your bourbon of choice? Ciroc, right? or somebody would be like, the house whiskey.
Fail. The house whiskey.
I'm like, do not put no house whiskey in no old fashioned. But then, or they'll be like, oh, well, let me get, say Pappy's, old Pappy's, the $1,500 bottle. So you got to pay attention I tell scour what they have, and then keep it in your price point.
Which one? What are the top two that we order for the old fashioned?
I would say, well, if you don't see what they have, if you, I would say go to Makers. Makers Mark makes a good old fashioned. If you are new to it, stick with Makers. Nobody's going to judge you. They're going to actually probably expect you to get the Makers. If you see, like I would, when they ask me, and it's not on menu, I like a Woodford Reserve old fashioned. I like an Old Forester 86 old fashioned.
You passed all the tests.
Yeah.
If depending on how I'm feeling Texas wise, we give a shout out. Oh, you got some Texas whiskey. I might do X whiskey, to support, the home state.
Locals.
Yeah. So it just literally depends on. Bullet Rye makes a phenomenal old fashioned. But see, bullets and preferably Bullet Rye, preferably rye whiskeys make good old fashions because of that spice and the grains from it. But don't let anybody tell you, I'm telling all the listeners, if you order a Bullet Rye old fashioned, don't let nobody judge you. And it's on the cheaper end too. Don't let them judge you, because that's probably one of the best old fashions you would get with a Bullet Rye.
Oh.
Okay. I know that.
I like inexpensive and okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because now if somebody's saying that you talking about, I want an Eagle Rare old fashioned, just be like, no, you're not. You doing it.
But
and
so
then I'm gonna
say,
because I'm gonna be like, so you just gonna mess up a good drink? Like you're gonna mess up a good bourbon? Like just drink that straight. Don't make that into a cocktail.
Because
so it's kind of like some tequilas are not good for drinks.
Margarita. Right? That's where I was going.
Yes.
Although I do like a
Ah,
little Patron in the tequila tastes good to me, but they say that you're wasting
yeah.
tequila if you're gonna mix a drink, make a cocktail, that you should use a lower. You shouldn't go for like top shelf high
Right.
end
No, because you're just wasting
alcohol,
money.
because you're
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
you're adding stuff to it where it's gonna get lost.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Interesting.
I'm gonna have to up my bar. I need some new things for my guests, which is me and my husband. But yeah. Oh my
Well,
goodness.
Brandy, we would like to offer your book for our listeners. And so we have this contest, I guess you could call it, if people
Yeah.
comment, like, and subscribe on our YouTube channel or on our Facebook group that we have. It's called WOCA Style in Facebook.
Hmm.
And so for anybody who wants a signed copy of Brandy's book and and actually a bottle of bourbon that she chooses, please make sure you comment, like, subscribe, share, and we will choose a winner by next Friday, the November
The
3rd.
third. Yep.
So
Yep.
And definitely, I'm gonna reshare it and post it on my page too. So the bourbon
Yes.
nights out there, if you've been
Yes.
sitting on, not getting your book, it's the holiday season. I'm being
That's right.
generous.
Yep. Yep.
yes,
Yep.
it'll make
That's
a
true.
perfect gift too. And I mean,
Yes.
you can, if you're planning on having people over, it's a perfect accompaniment to
It
your bar. So please make sure you comment, like, share, anything to get our attention. We will choose a winner and we will let you know. I'm excited. Unfortunately, we cannot win,
No. Darn.
but yeah, we're excited. So thank you,
Yep.
Brandy, for sharing your signed book with us,
Absolutely.
and your preference of Brandy, or not Brandy. Your name is
Bourbon.
Brandy.
You
I
call her
kept
Brandy.
doing that
She's been
the
calling
entire
Brandy
time I
all
was talking
day.
about you. I kept saying, "Oh, we're gonna talk about Brandy." No, we're gonna talk to Brandy.
About bourbon. About bourbon. Absolutely. Well, hey, we're gonna also we're coming upon our meetup, first annual meetup here in Dallas at Yardbird on Saturday, November the 4th. And we are getting people to sign up on meetup.com. Of course, just look for the WOCA style event. And we're hoping that Brandy may be in town and she may be able to join us. So that would be even better opportunity for us to ask more questions about bourbon and maybe even try some at
Yes.
the brunch. So
Yeah.
that would be really cool. And she can Brandy, definitely bring your books, and
Mhm.
hopefully we can turn it into a little event while you're there.
Oh, that
Absolutely.
sounds
Great
great.
idea.
That'd be
Absolutely.
perfect.
That would
Let
be
me check
fun.
my calendar. Look, I'll let y'all know next Tuesday.
Sounds great. Oh, this has been wonderful, Brandy. Again, we have just learned so much. We didn't really know all the right questions. We didn't know how this was gonna go. We're really not. But I feel like I now have more of a clarity. And when I'm trying to impress someone, I'm going to order a old fashioned.
Yes.
Me too.
And
Now,
just know the alcohol. Just know what kind of bourbon you're going to ask
yeah.
for.
And
Absolutely.
also too, I didn't bring them. I'm upstairs in my office, but downstairs, make sure they have. I'm gonna tell you what also makes a good old fashioned. This is I call it the post prohibition because pre prohibition they muddled the cherry and the orange peel and the granulated sugar and then added water in the glass.
Oh,
Now, post prohibition, we fancy with the simple syrup because you don't have to. I do still make my own simple syrup, especially my flavored simple syrups. But look at the cherry. If you get the red cherry, if they put a red cherry in it, probably not gonna be good. I don't like the pre-prohibition because they don't know how to make it right. It's like
oh,
it's not the right amount of sweetness, bitterness, and alcohol. It's usually either gonna be too strong or too bittery. And if you go to a bar and you see some red cherries and they start pouring the sugar in the spoon, you might be like, this might not be it. Or if they
Well, what
start
uh-huh.
color should the
muddling
cherries be?
the Luxardo cherries, like a dark
Not
red,
those
Dark.
maraschino.
Like a burger.
maraschino, yeah, maraschino and dark
Maraschino.
cherries, the darker red, or like they look like they're purple, I guess, like a dark.
Right.
Those are my favorite cherries. So if you see those, they probably know what they're doing.
Oh.
Good
Okay.
If you
tidbit.
see, because sometimes, and if they start muddling, because I don't like the ones like they'll muddle the actual orange slice, like they'll cut do a slice of orange and start
Mhm.
muddling, and now I'm like, it's like orange juice is pulled. I hate that.
Ah.
That's
Nice
good
to know. So what do you do if you see someone making one that you already
You're
know
like,
as they start?
flag on the field.
Oh, I ask questions before I order I ask questions before
Oh, do you?
I order my old fashioned. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Okay.
definitely ask questions. I was like, first I'll ask, do you have
How do
bitter?
you make? Yeah.
Like I'll start with, do you, because usually they'll have simple syrup because a lot of cocktails require simple syrup, but
Right.
they don't really necessarily require bitters. So then I was like, okay, well, do you have bitters? And then I'm like, okay, and it doesn't matter really what type of bitters because then we can play around with it. But I'll say, do you have bitters? And then I'll look at their cherries and I'm like, well, what type of cherries? But
They're like, well, why don't you just come around the bar and make your own, lady? That's
so,
all.
but
Okay.
you can also, in no shade to some of these places, some of the places I walk in, like me and my ex-boyfriend, we went to a bar a couple of weeks ago. And I said, well, what we gonna get to drink? He talking about old fashioned. I said, I can promise you, they ain't got no old fashions here.
Sounds like
And
some
he was
places
like,
it'll go.
he wanted to be, wanted to prove me wrong. I said, go ahead, prove me wrong. That's what I'm telling you now. I think I end up getting like Maker's Mark meat, like, or And
Yeah.
so he asked her, and he was like, he asked the bartender, do y'all have any old fashioned? Do you know how to make an old fashioned? She said, what's that? I said,
Oh.
Don't order
Well,
it.
sounds like Prosecco in some places. Do you have Prosecco? What is that?
what is that?
Yeah. Sounds about
So,
right.
yeah, if I cannot get an old fashioned, then my next go to is I'm getting whiskey or bourbon on the rocks, or I'm getting it neat. Because you can't mess that up.
Right.
Well, let's hope not.
Right.
Let's hope not.
Hope not.
Yes. Good stuff.
Yes. Great stuff.
Well, thank you, Brandi. We really appreciate you today. You really taught us a lot. I wrote down a whole bunch of notes, and I will be giving you some feedback because I'm going out tonight, honey.
Hey,
And
where you going tonight?
I'm going to a little party,
Okay.
A little
a little
party.
house party.
Okay.
So, and I do plan on having me some kind of something. Depends on what they have at their bar, but I will act like I know what I'm talking about because I have my notes. And so I really appreciate it. This is really great. I'm so excited to do the giveaway of your signed book
We can't wait.
and a bottle of bourbon. We will choose the person who gives us the best comment or shares our video with people, but we're really looking forward to it. And once again, thank you, Brandi. I appreciate your time.
Thank you for having me. This was fun.
Thank you.
It
And
was.
congratulations on your #1 spot, we heard.
Number one.
Your book.
Oh, that was in April. But thank you.
Oh.
Hey, number
Listen
one
now.
is number
She
one.
said, oh,
Right.
that was in April.
Right. I was like,
And
number one.
keep us informed on when your next book is coming out and when you are coming out with your own bourbon. So we can't wait to see that.
Absolutely. The next one's probably going to be more of 2025 because I want to try to do a documentary with it.
Oh, okay.
So that's going to take me longer with that because I want it to be done right too. So
well, if you need anybody to appear in your documentary, we're available.
Absolutely.
Just let us know.
Just back there tasting and drinking.
All right, guys. Thank you very much. And we will see you next time.
Bye, everybody.